A judge, that's right, y'all, puts a teen on a field trip in handcuffs and in a jail uniform. This is according to 7 News in Detroit. A Detroit nonprofit hosted a field trip at the 36th District Court so students could learn about the legal system. When a sleeping teenager during the visit ended up in jail and in a jail uniform, handcuffs, and in front of Judge Kenneth King. This is his picture right here. Keep that picture up. Because of her attitude inside of his courtroom. On Tuesday, children, that's right, children, part of a 3-week program with the nonprofit, The Greening of Detroit, were taking to the 36th District Court for a field trip. Other field trips in the program, including kayaking and watching birds. However, this was an opportunity for the students to watch a real trial play out and speak to a judge before the defense and prosecutor even entered the courtroom. King addressed the students and answered their questions. This is, again, according to 7 News in Detroit. He then noticed a 16-year-old girl dozing off. You fall asleep in my courtroom one more time, I'm gonna put you in the back. Understood? Understood. The judge addressed the girl in the courtroom. Judge King then says the teen gave him attitude for falling asleep. King told 7 News Detroit, quote, it wasn't so much, in fact, that she had fallen asleep because I have attorneys that fall asleep sometimes. So that's not too big of a deal. It was her whole attitude and her whole disposition that disturbed me. I wanted to get through to her and show her how serious this is and how you conduct yourself inside of a courtroom. My God, the arrogance. The judge then can be heard saying the teen must change into a jail uniform and sit in lockup. That's not something that normally happens, but I felt compelled to do it because I didn't like the child's attitude, King said. I haven't been disrespected like that a very long time. The judge then threatened the 16-year-old with jail time at the juvenile detention center. He went to say, this is what? The thing about the juvenile detention facility, it's a lot of people there that are not just bad kids. You know, a lot of mentally ill kids there. The last time I was there, I had a kid who was actually sticking a spoon up their rectum and spreading feces on the wall. This is what he said to this young girl in his courtroom. The judge then had other students vote. Listen to this. Vote if this child should be sent to the detention facility. He ended up letting her go. I just want to stop and say, Tehran, this is child abuse. I don't understand why advocates aren't stepping in. This guy, I feel like, should be almost taken off the bench for this. This is bad behavior. This lesson that he's trying to teach is absolutely ridiculous. And I think he knows this because he went on to say that this was his version of Scared Straight, where you're not HBO, you don't have producers. This was absolutely disgusting. And this child parents didn't sign paperwork to say that you can scare her straight. And what straight did she need? She was simply asleep. He don't know what happened at home the night before. He don't know if this child had sleep. He don't know what he don't even know if she ate a meal, but he want to scare her straight. This behavior is silly to me. And I can almost bet what this child race was. Because I can tell you, like you said, if this was Jenny Doe, this wouldn't have happened to her. I promise you that.
With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show.
His actions were extreme, but I don't really disagree with it. Like, she gave that attitude. I think this generation needs a little bit of discipline to understand, F around and find out, okay? The consequences. Now, did he go above and beyond? Yes, he did. But remember, he specifically said it's not just for sleeping. It was for the attitude that came with it after. And I'm against a lot of Karens, but when it came to Judge King and I read this story, and the more I read about this story, the more I was like, I used to get a whooping for a lot of things that people do now. And now that we realize that whoopings only lead to hurting people, there still needs to be some disciplinary action. Did he go above and beyond to an extreme measure? Yes, he did. But was there a certain amount of it that was based in that idea of understanding that there's a consequence and should be a consequence to an action, especially in a formality like a courtroom? Something that a lot of people, that lack of respect is something we see a lot moving forward, not just generationally, but coming down. I think it's true.
Listen, see, and this is my problem. I hear you on that, and I'm from a generation where people did get,
Oh, I know you are.
oh
I
yeah.
know.
But I think what happens is I think we believe that these younger generations are not disciplined because they show up in the world different than we do. But if you look at them and how they show up in the world, it's Zers who are actually doing more volunteering
100%.
than our generation. They actually give more, even though they've been through two financial crises in their short lives. They also are people who are performing their social duties more than anybody. It
I
was
agree.
Zers who, in their first midterm, outperformed anybody in 2022. So I think I'm a little. Here's what I'm nervous about. What happens to children that are embarrassed in this manner? Um, and I mean, because things don't die. When we were born, if you got beat in school, it only lived as long as people could joke about it. It wasn't on social media. This story will be a part of this child's life forever. When people be like, "Oh yeah, I remember this. This was your life." This story is on. We're talking about it on national media right now, and I think that to me leads to permanent scarring. I think for this child, and I don't understand the handcuffs and the uniform, bro. I just don't.
The handcuffs and uniform, once again, going to the extreme, but this is a lesson that maybe she has learned. Who knows? Maybe this inspires her to become a lawyer, an attorney, to fight for justice because of these things. That's the measure. We have to understand what was the point, and also what is the source? This is Judge King. Judge King has been an advocate for minorities within his community and his county, and has been a strong, consistent district judge. That's one of the things. Also, secondly, I do think that this was meant to be tough love. I think it was just too much of tough love, too much of tough love. But we do need to understand that line. But lastly, there was something, Mayor Robinson, you said that we do need to recognize is that Judge King might not have done this to Jenny or Kate, and that's because he might have been even afraid of the repercussions from that. There is a tough love demeanor that is given much more and much stricter to children of color and Black children, particularly, or like Puerto Rican or Dominican children, that we don't see oftentimes in the affinity towards white children. They are looked upon as children when children of color are looked upon as adults immediately. And that's something we should have a conversation about.
Yeah, I mean, and it plays out even in our school systems, right? Where we see little Black boys are more likely to be suspended and expelled for behavior that gets passed off as little white boys being, just, oh, they're just mischievous. You know what I'm saying? So the ramifications for this is not just the tough love or me being against tough love. It's about what are the long effects. And like you said, the willingness to do this to Black people. And then a former attorney, Larry Dubin actually said he has a background in legal ethics and now he's a law professor at the University Detroit Mercy. He made his concerns heard, saying this was just totally inappropriate. There were so many other ways in which to have helped that young girl learn. I've never seen anything quite like I saw take place in the courtroom. That the nonprofit that took this young lady to this trial, to this courtroom, actually said they spoke to the child and her mother, and that they were absolutely disgusted in this behavior. I'm paraphrasing here, and that her parents said they were not pleased with the disrespect on behalf of the court and also Judge King himself. So, I feel like I hear you that King has a long history of being an advocate for minority Black communities, specifically inner city people in Detroit. I also think people should be minded of what our brother said of how to be anti-racist. Sometimes you could be the best ally in one moment and the largest racist in the next moment. This might be one of those points.
School to
So
prison pipeline. Here we are. This was a perfect personification of.